Alright, let's see. So, come right up in here and get my markers because they're better. That's right. I said it. They're better. If I can find them, and here they are. I'm a professional singer. Notes. Get markers out here. Get this marker. Alright, let's see what it looks like that. And then like that. That's right. Now, where's my eraser? Here's my eraser. Now y'all should be able to see me pretty clearly. If not, ain't my fault. No, it is, but I ain't gonna worry about that. Alright, let me see how I'm gonna do this actually. Use this marker. Alright, I'm going to go by this right here. I know you might not be able to see it, but we're going to go ahead and start here. So this is, alright, yeah, actually let's start here. So this is proliferation. Proliferation is the amount of, the ability of the cell to divide, to continue to divide and form a tumor compared to just a single cancer cell. So that's prolif, and this is time. Now, what we've seen, this is in breast cancer, is that this is normal cancer growth, just 100%, but boom, that's standard. Let's see, how am I going to name that? I'll name it whatever, anyway. Now, if you do CBD, brings it to like this. If you do THC, brings it lower. If you do THC and CBD, it brings it to here. And then if you do it with the chemotherapy, it matches up with the chemotherapy. So this is none. Sorry. Damn it. Or dang it. I said dang it. Don't judge me. CBD. Now I can imagine in higher doses of CBD, because this is what we've seen, that it will bring it down lower. So anyway, this is THC, and then T/C, and then this is T/C/chemo. Oh, that's a D. I started to rewrite my D's to learn how to write them differently because I didn't like the way I was writing them. And I wasn't trying to do that anyway. Pardon my space, taking up all this space here that you can't see what I'm doing because I don't have room over there. Plus I'm right-handed. And I got a weak left hand. I'm trying to twiddle my fingers. Anyway, don't want to lose this. That's the cap. Alright, so this is proliferation. This is time. These are the different cannabinoids. So this would be the proliferation graph kind of thing. I guess you could go by that. That's the first one mentioned in or on cancer.gov in the cannabinoids and cancer section. So we're going to move on. You can take a screenshot of that. You need to back up. I'm going to go next. So this is going to be the treatment and dose. Now I'm going to have to reword or remove all these things. So whenever you're starting your dose, if you're going to be doing Rick Simpson oil, so this is milligrams and this is time. Now you want to work up to, I want to say 15 milligrams per kilogram per day. Now that's in a patent. It was able to decrease, and we're going to go over that in one of these here in a second. It was able to decrease the volume of a tumor of brain cancer, actually GBM, the type that I have been diagnosed with, by 15% in 14 days. Now you won't be able to do that in a person probably unless you just knock them out, put them in a coma, and then blast them with cannabinoids, with THC and CBD. It was a 1-1 ratio. I'm not advocating putting somebody in a coma. The only reason I said that is because they will not be able to handle this dose right off the bat. And if they're late stage, I guess if they're late stage and comatose or catatonic, however you want to say it, you could do this. It would need to be maybe intravenous. Yeah, because you would want it systemic, so I would say intravenous. Or you could use the G port. I think that's what they call it, gastro port there on your stomach. If somebody has a G tube, that's what they call it, G tube. So if you start out your milligrams really, really low, and I'm talking about like 2.5 milligrams, and you work your way up at a consistent level, as you come up, you'll get to that 1,000 mark. Now this is supposed to be this will be 2 months. From here to here should be 1 month. You're going to gradually work your way up to 1,000 milligrams per day. Now, I'm going to divide that out by 250 milligrams times 5 per day. And that'll give you breakfast, which does not look like a B, lunch, dinner, and 2 times before bed. This is looking whack. This is just what would you call it, a draft. I might put it up just to have fun. Alright, so anyhow, we're moving on. I'm going to go ahead and get this down. So this is your dose. Again, this is 1 month. Take that out. Wipe it off on something that's black, because it's black ink. And we're going away. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put dose. RSO. Which had nothing to do with what that is. I'm going to take this down a little bit. Add a zip to that. This is, I'll put FICO. /RSO. Full extract cannabis oil. Rick Simpson oil. Rick Simpson. And I guess you put an oil after that. So anyway, 15 milligrams per kilogram per day. I'm going to go ahead and put a 10 here because one study has 10. The one that had the brain cancer is 15 milligrams per kilogram. A lot of people, from what I've heard actually, is that they don't even, this is 4 weeks, for 3 to 5 weeks, you should be up to 1,000 milligrams. And from what I've heard, that depending upon the size of the tumor, that they started seeing reduction about the 2nd or 3rd week, and then sometimes full remission by the 4th week. Now, whether or not full remission happens, you want to keep going to get those stem cells. Cannabinoids do disrupt the stem cells. You can look that up. They found it in GBM and brain cancer for sure. That's, I think, what the paper's on. But if cannabinoids can go after stem cells, and we're really, we're just talking about cannabinoids as far as just mimicking the endocannabinoid system. So whenever we're like, well, can it do this? Can it do that? Can it do this? It does all the same stuff because it's all the same system. All right. Let's see, 3 right here. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Now, this is a cancer cell by itself. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do 2 of these. That's right. I'm going to spray this thing down because this thing is not quite permanent, but definitely leaving. So this is a tumor. All these little circles are cancer cells. Just going to fill it in real fast. As you can see, circles, whatever. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take one of these circles out to a single cell. Maybe I should have done it the other way around, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way because actually, I'm going to turn it around. Just for you. Just for you. And I almost fell forward. Get a nice face print all up on it. Okay, so now, I'm going to start with a single cancer cell. These little triangles are receptor sites on the cancer cell called the CB1, cannabinoid receptor 1. Some documents will have CBR1. So, yeah, have different ones. Anyway, so THC mimics anandamide, which is a natural compound in our bodies, the endocannabinoid system. Other videos on that to come. Anyhow, for right now, anandamide in our body is our natural tumor regulator. It works in every other system for other things: pain, modulation, sleep, mood, appetite, all these different things. Which is why cannabinoids work on that, because we're boosting that system, we're stimulating that system, we're coming alongside of it and helping it out. So anyway, THC binds to this receptor, fits right into it. It activates, which means it turns it on. It has an interaction with it, that it communicates information. Cannabinoids are signaling compounds. So is anandamide. So cannabinoids are communicating to this receptor, and outside, this can be anandamide, which means bliss in Sanskrit, or phytocannabinoids. I should have put Indo. It's really weird writing like this, so pardon my inability to write right? So again, single cancer cell. Now what happens is there's this weird looking little organ in there called the endoplasmic reticulum, and it looks kind of like that. It's really like squiggly. Now all the proteins and fats that the cellular organs, the organelles, need to function so that they can feed the cell, it can process all of its stuff, every single one of those, like us, we need proteins and fats for the body to operate. So if this gets messed up, then it can't feed the rest of the cell what they need. Not so much food, but as far as structures of protein structures and fatty acids, so that those other organelles can function right. So what happens, they call it ER stress. So this endoplasmic reticulum gets stressed out. And when it gets stressed out, and it gets stressed out by this, when this communicates, the information this communicates ceramide. Ceramide production, and it's a cascade. This really is just a whole chemical cascade of events that lead to the whole cell dying. So, again, ceramide goes up. Whenever you look at studies, they'll have that. Ceramide up, stresses out this ER plasmic reticulum. Now, whenever the cell recognizes that any organelle that is specifically going to die completely, that is mandatory for the life cycle of the cell, it will induce autophagy, which means that it's going to now kill off all the organelles, and auto means self, of course, and then phagy means to eat. So they call it self-suicide or cell-suicide. I don't like the term because it's not doing it on its own, it's doing it by the receptor activation. So it's really just the cell eating itself and breaking itself down. And whenever you have autophagy, phagy. Autophagy, because it's now totally breaking down, you go to apoptosis. Now, there are all kinds of signaling events that take place in here, all kinds of little abbreviated things that have to do with Wow. I'll have to think about that and come back. Is it genetic? Yeah, all different types of genes up in here. That's why I was so confused myself. So anyway, apoptosis, cell death. Now, whenever you look at some of these that I'm going to be doing other ones on, some of these diagrams, images, representations of this whole deal of what I'm writing out, you'll see that there's going to be somewhere on there, more than likely, that they'll put the chemotherapy on there too. Like TMZ. not the TV show. Much worse. Temozolomide. Temodar is the brand name. Temozolomide is the medicine name. Temozolomide. Oh wait, that's weird. Yeah, temozolomide. Kind of dumb, or kind of weird. Anyway, temozolomide induces apoptosis as well. So it bypasses all this stuff and it just goes straight for apoptosis. The problem with that is that it's not natural. This is all caustic chemicals that are destroying other parts of the brain cells, or at least they're stressing them out. And of course, they're destroying your hair. You lose your hair, you lose all this stuff. Stomach, it's normal chemo, but you take it by pill because the intravenous way doesn't penetrate the blood-brain barrier as easily. So I'm guessing they have some sort of fatty compound that goes into the TMZ. I've never looked into that. But of course, I could always Google it. Everything's up to Google. I mean, like as in you can go and find it anywhere. Type in Google PubMed, P-U-B-M-E-D, and go there. Type in cannabinoids in any disease, cannabinoids and cancer, cannabinoids and lupus, cannabinoids and endometrial function. You know, anything like that, and it'll take you there. And there will be multiple studies on all of those. Excuse me, I gotta get some tea. Just so y'all know, cancer patients, 2 tea bags, 1 green tea, 1 black tea. I'm about to get into another thing here in a second. Actually, did I already show it? No, I didn't. Wow, I'm missing one. Alright. I'll get to that also with this. Okay, so this is the whole deal. You're getting to cell death. Now, this is a single cell within a tumor, which, like I did earlier, is just going to have a bunch of cancer cells. So these are all just individual cells, just like that. Man, this is wasting a lot of ink, or whatever this is. It's ink. Half butt ink. Not butt, but you know, there was a term my dad used to use, half-a. So anyway, this is a tumor cell. This tumor cell sends off signals for blood vessels to form in all directions. But it'll start having blood vessels. What it'll end up doing is it'll tap into a main vein. So you got a main vein going whatever direction, doesn't matter. And whenever these signals match up to this brain or vein, you're going to get little tiny like capillary type veins that are vessels, blood vessels that start coming here. And they're attaching to this, and now they're able to get a lot of food because now they have these vessels. These are no longer chemical. The chemicals have created this, and you got a whole tumor here, and it'll do this as much as it can over next to the blood vessel. And it might even be able to get 2 or 3. And I can imagine in brain cancer that might be why it's so invasive, because there's just fatty tissue and all kinds of blood vessels. So it's just getting all kinds of nutrients from all those other areas. Excuse all this. So what happens here now is that if one of these little cancer cells hasn't died yet, this is like a dead one. This one, let's just say we're treating it with cannabinoids. You start killing them. That's anti-proliferation. You're getting rid of them. And you're slowing down the volume of the tumor. That's what it is. Anti-proliferation is also coming in with cannabinoids as well. Different diagram here in a minute. But the idea is that not only do you stop cell cycle, like have a cell cycle arrest, you stop it from multiplying, but the ones that have already come out, already multiplied, already hit the tumor, made it formed into a tumor, you just take those right out with chemotherapy like this one. I mean, not chemotherapy, but you want to avoid chemo, but the cannabinoid-based therapy. So if one of these cells that is alive breaks off into this blood vessel, or into one of these little capillaries, it will travel throughout the body. They call this migration. Perfect. They call it migration. T-I-O-N. And I didn't finish that in. So migration, once you have that, they call it adhesion and invasion. So there's an adhesion aspect of adhering to other tissues, and then an invasion aspect that are all chemically driven. And of course, those chemicals interact with different genes. And so chemical, genetic, it's all working together. And so then you get another one of these little cancer cells that attaches to an organ. Let's just say this is like the colon, and it attaches to the wall of the colon. Small cell. It starts invading the colon. Sorry, that's not. I messed that one up. So this is like the whole colon. You could just make it way fatter. Starts invading the colon, and now you got a bunch of tumor cells in here. Now these tumor cells aren't colon cancer cells. They could be breast cancer cells. They could be any kind of cell that migrated and adhered and invaded the tissue here. So I'll let y'all take a quick screenshot of that. And so this was basically two graphs in one. I put them side by side so you can kind of see what's going down, but these would be two totally different graphs. Again, apoptosis, the ultimate one everybody talks about, the induced apoptosis, which is caused after autophagy. Apoptosis is always downstream of autophagy. It doesn't happen prior to. Because of autophagy, it induces apoptosis. And really, I don't think, as far as I know, that apoptosis or autophagy, apoptosis can be directly factored in. It very well should or could be. I guess that's what the TMZ does whenever it comes in and hits it up. But I can imagine there's other processes in the cell, like if you mess with the mitochondria, and I think cannabinoids do that too, certain ones. They screw with the mitochondria, and that's the powerhouse of the cell. That's where all the nutrients are processed. It's the stomach, the energy source. And so if you screw with that, you'll definitely kill the cell. Anyway, gonna move on. Right now I'm just free thinking. As y'all can tell, this was not a planned video to be professional at all whatsoever. I'm just testing all this stuff out. Figured I'd go ahead and make one. I might keep it for fun, because it's so fun to make these. Alright. Now, what's next? Let's see. So that was tumor volume. I know I'm missing one. Synergy. I don't want to use this one. I gotta find another one for synergy. I thought I had one on here already. So anyway, I'll just do the synergy the same way that I have done other ones. And this is actually the graph that I got from William Lee on Eat to Beat Cancer Angiogenesis Foundation. I believe you can Google that, or angiogenesisfoundation.com, maybe, org. But this was the type of graph that they had. So angiogenesis is that ability to provide blood vessels, the little tiny vessels to feed the cancer. This is angiogenesis. Now, the difference between metastasis and a single tumor that you can go in and cut out is angiogenesis. So they've done research with angiogenesis in various foods, so you can have angiogenesis reduction, so anti-angiogenic foods. So like, this is what I was telling you a minute ago. Like, let's say green tea has that much anti-angiogenic potential. Black tea has that much anti-angiogenic, alright, I'm just going to put that there. Anti-angiogenic potential. But whenever you combine them, they have this potential. So in the same way, let's just say this is CBD. Let's say this is THC. And this is CBD plus THC. And this is an anti-angio. Maybe I'll just put effects. So that's angiogenesis. This is, of course, anti-angio effects goes to this spot right here. This would be the part of the graph, and these are just the parts that did it, whatever. However they use this. Whatever style of graph that is with the triangles as opposed to the squares, which is what I'm actually probably going to do from here out. Now let's take a look real quick at the patent that I was talking about a second ago. And there's a specific graph in there, and I'll put a link to it in the description, and I'll put on there like some sort of, this is the patent or something like that. So in this patent, they talk about a specific time, a study that they did, and let's see, how can I do this? Okay, so this is tumor volume, and this is time, and this is 14 days. And I'll just say this is 1 month. Okay. So, and this is 50%. I'm going to redo that. 50%. I know this video's taking a long time, and I know y'all are like, hurry up, Cody. Get this thing done already. But I might split it up, and then that'll make it easier for y'all. I'll do a part 1, part 2, part 3. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, this is where it's at. So you got 50% there, 100% here. Now, it says that they were able to, what is it? How did they word it? Decrease tumor volume by 50% in 14 days. So this is the 50% mark, and this is the 14 days. They were able to do it like this. Boom. So that's a full size, however big you want to say, GBM, breast cancer cell. I mean, this was GBM, but if you remember earlier, the graph that I made like this was actually from a breast cancer study. And that had to do with proliferation rate, not volume. But you can imagine if you can control the proliferation rate like that, then you can control the volume, because that is directly correlated to the volume of the tumor. So anyway, and this is my beef. This is where I stand right now. Is that if, and this was at 15 milligrams per kilogram per day. And again, that is a very high dose. You cannot get to that high level in one day. You have to do that. You have to raise up over that time period. So you start low, you move up, and then you hit that peak, and you just stay on that peak. Now, this was in 14 days. This right here is going to be 3 to 5 weeks, as I mentioned before. Supposed to carry this on, and this is the Rick Simpson method. This is what most people are going by. They say 1,000 milligrams. This comes out to about 1,000 milligrams. For me, it's like 900 and something. So, because I think I'm like 65 kilograms or some lightweight stuff like that. So this is let's say 2 months, because the whole thing's supposed to be 90 days. Now, the tumor volume goes down up here in 14 days, but you're consistently going up in milligrammage. Now the milligrammage, even though it's low, will be bringing this volume down. It will be inhibiting the angiogenesis that I was showing you a minute ago. It'll be decreasing the tumor volume because of apoptosis. It'll decrease the volume from growing because of cell cycle arrest. There's all these reasons. I mean, there's like, what, 8? 9. There's 9 reasons, because I was hoping to make it 10. That way it would look cool in a graph or something like that. But there's 9 specific things on cancer.gov that work against against cancer that cannabinoids do. Whether THC alone, CBD on its own, or THC and CBD connected together, which has been found to always work better. Synergy, baby, synergy. So, back to my speech. I wanted to be able to get on some of that anti-angiogenic juice. Not juice, tea. Anyhow, so this is what I'm hoping to do. It's not going to work like this, because we can't do this. Now we can, but you're going to be like, you'll end up falling asleep, and somebody would have to continually put this into you. Because by the time you get up to a certain milligrammage, you're going to start passing out. Not passing out in a bad way. I'll tell you this. cannabinoid receptors are not found in the brain stem, and so you cannot die from a cannabinoid receptor overdose. And so there's no slowing down of the breathing, there's no stopping of the heart, so there's no way to overdose, and there's nobody that ever has overdosed. If somebody tries to tell you that they've overdosed and they were using cannabis, then there was more than cannabis involved. And people might freak out thinking they overdosed like they have, or like they would with alcohol or some other actual drug. And through edibles, because they get too much at one time, but it just scares them because they're getting too much at one time. So it's like, taking shots compared to just slowly sipping on a beer. It can hit you faster. Anyway, so this is what I'm working towards. Boom. 100% reduction. Now, theoretically in a month, according to this study, but that's at 15 milligrams, so it should take longer. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you do it like this and you titrate up by the milligrams, you want to double every 4 days. That's what everybody says, or that's what Rick Simpson says. You can go to phoenixtears.com. It might be .net or something like that, or .ca. I'm sure it's a .com. And he's from Canada. And you can look on there and it'll show you the whole dosage information. It'll be somewhere on the top menu. Anyway. So let's see, do I want to put anything else? Have I forgotten anything? Tell me. What have I left out? If anything. Alright guys, I'm pretty sure that's everything. Apoptosis, angiogenesis, tumor volume. And we got direct action, dose, proliferation. I'll do this one real quick, that way you can see this other type of graph for proliferation. So there was 100% proliferation coming from down here, and we'll go ahead and start out with a full-size tumor, which would be 100% size, volume, and time. Oh, a little low. So you got this, and so you would see this kind of drop off. They have these types of graphs. Now this is CBD, THC, and chemo. This is C/T, this is T, and this is C. So, and of course this is all, like I said, time. So it's the same way as all the rest of these little graphs that it has to do. This is the deal. Dose,